Welcome to Rhythm of Grace, where we live one moment, step, and day at a time, learning what it is to establish biblical rhythms in our lives. My name is Michelle, and I am glad you're here. While you're here, please take a moment and hit that subscribe button and click that notification bell so you can be made aware of new content when it comes on my channel. Today is episode 47 in the R1017 study. Now, before I get into today's narrative and short devotional, I have a question for you. And today's question is, how do you treat people? We're going to look at that today, and we're going to examine it by looking at the golden rule. So we are in Matthew chapter 7, verse 12, and it says, "So in everything, do to others what you would have them do to you, for this sums up the law and the prophets." So Jesus here in the narrative is simplifying 613 laws down to this golden rule. And the golden rule is profound because it points to the core of every God-given law: love for God expressed in love for neighbors. So it's beautiful. So the golden rule simplifies something that seemed so burdensome, so complicated, and it makes it so simple, and it breaks life down into one question as we relate to people. And this is a question we need to be asking ourselves as we're interacting with people even today. This is a timeless rule that still counts today. And the question is, if that were me, how would I want to be treated? So I'm going to read some scripture here, different scenarios in the scripture, and I want us to be asking, if that were me, how would I want to be treated? So we're going to start off in Leviticus 19:18, and it says, "Do not seek revenge or bear a grudge against anyone among your people, but love your neighbor as yourself. I am the Lord." So if this were me, I would not want anybody seeking revenge or bearing a grudge against me. So in order to keep this, is a do not seek revenge or bear a grudge. So we're going to go to another scripture here, Exodus 23:4. And this is interesting. And it says, "If you come across your enemy's ox or donkey wandering off, be sure to return it." So if I am said person whose ox or donkey has more wandered off in the Old Testament, or within the New Testament time frame, that is something very valuable. If this were me, I would want it returned, even if it was coming from my enemy. I wouldn't want it stolen. So if this were me, I would want the things returned. Like if somebody has my car, I want it back. Like essentially, that's kind of the equivalent here. These were very valuable things. Okay, we're going to go to another scripture here, Leviticus 19:35 and 36. And this is about financial things. And it says, "Do not use dishonest standards when measuring length, weight, or quantities. Use honest scales and honest weights, an honest ephah and an honest hin. I am the Lord your God who brought you out of Egypt." So if I'm running a transaction with somebody, I want the transaction to be honest. I don't want somebody taking an advantage of me financially. So if this was me, I don't want dishonest standards or fraud against me. Now, so that's a financial view of this thing. We're going to look at Leviticus 19:9 through 10. And this says, "When you reap the harvest of your land, do not reap to the very edges of your field or gather the gleanings of your harvest. Do not go over your vineyard a second time or pick the grapes that have fallen. Leave them for the poor and the foreigner. I am the Lord your God." So if this were me and I'm poor or a foreigner, I'm going to want the people to treat me with kindness and obey God's laws here, so I can glean for food, so I can glean for provision. If this was me, I would want that. So, and in that, there's provision, and then there's just love for God, us loving people. Now, the core of this thing is obeying the golden rule causes us to love people. Now, loving people is huge with walking as a believer. And it helps us to be not just reading the word, not just reading about loving people, not just reading about, how Jesus, actively loved people, but it helps us actively do what the word says. I mean, James 1:22 says, "Be doers of the word and not hearers only, deceiving yourself." If you are walking through life treating people terribly, not loving them, you are not obeying the word. You are not doing the word. You may be hearing the word, but if you're not treating people well and you're treating people in the way that you don't want to be treated, then you're not doing anything but hearing the word. And then we're going to go into this part of it because Romans 12:17 through 18 really talks about this, because I want to talk about something, and it's that when somebody treats us badly, we tend to want to treat them badly in return. And it's kind of a knee jerk reaction we have to people, but the golden rule still applies here. I'm going to read this verse here, and it says, "Do not repay anyone evil for evil. Be careful to do what is right in the eyes of everyone. If it's possible, as far as it depends on you, live at peace with everyone." So this verse is clear. So if we're living the golden rule, if we're treating people as we wish to be treated, we're not going to be repaying evil for evil. We're going to be acting in a way that we want to be treated. And I realize this is very, very difficult. I come from an abuse background. I come from, family that did not treat me well, and a history of people that did not treat me well. And I can say that I didn't always operate in the golden rule. It's very difficult when you know have your emotions and even viable reasons to treat somebody badly in response. But God isn't asking us to operate out of our emotion or operate out of our own wisdom or operate out of our own understanding. In fact, the scripture says, lean not on our own understanding. Like, we need to look at every situation, every person that we're interacting with, no matter how they are treating us, and say, do I want to be treated that way? And if we want to do something to that person that we wouldn't want done to us, then we need to surrender that to the Lord and choose love. Choose to treat them better than they have treated us, because that is the mandate, that is the call, and that is what the Lord has asked us and required us to do through the golden rule. So that is what I have for you today here on Rhythm and Grace. So until next time, we live by the rhythm of grace, one surrendered hour, minute, and day at a time. Everybody, be blessed.